Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are joining us from. I'm Joe Davies, and on behalf of the Schubert Institute, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to our first online graduate study day. One of the most enriching aspects of this digital age in which we find ourselves is the opportunity to host events such as this one that bring together friends, colleagues, and students from around the world. Glancing at my screen, it's really wonderful to see that we have attendees not only from the UK, but also from Austria, Australia, France, Hong Kong, Germany, Ireland, Prague, Scotland, and the US. Sincere thanks to you all for being here with us today. I express particular gratitude to our chairman, Dr. Clive McClelland, who leads our activities with a keen eye and an infectious enthusiasm for all things Schubertian. To my colleagues on the committee for their gracious support of this study day, and to our membership secretary, Ruth Minton, to whom we are indebted for all that she does to sustain the life of the Institute. My final, sincerest thanks are reserved for our inspiring panel of speakers, Anhad Aurora, Dara Gillies, Ruth Minton, Peter Shannon, and Alison Shorten, without whose contributions this event would not have been possible. A note of thanks also to Happy Longworth, who was due to present in the second session, but is sadly no longer able to owing to illness. It is altogether an exciting time for the Schubert Institute. As we approach our 30th anniversary in April 2021, we're embarking on a number of initiatives geared towards the expansion and diversification of our society. Among these is a reinvigoration of our online presence. Over the summer, I had the pleasure of leading a working group comprising Happy Longworth, Ruth Minton, Richard Morris, and Julian Powis that was tasked with designing a new website, which we hope to launch in the coming months. In addition to featuring a wealth of information about Schubert's life and music, a portrait gallery, and a wide-ranging bibliography, the website will incorporate opportunities for members to share their work and to post items about forthcoming events and publications via a new blog function. This will work in tandem with an increasing use of social media, such as our Facebook and Twitter accounts. Our approach across all these platforms, as with our events, is underpinned by a desire to promote our shared fascination with Schubert in an accessible, welcoming, and inclusive manner. Other initiatives that are in the pipeline range from an online In Conversation series to further study days and networking events that support the work of graduate students. And of course, we much look forward to resuming our in-person concerts and lecture recitals as soon as it is safe to do so. I hope this provides a taste of some of the work that is taking place behind the scenes at the Schubert Institute, and we're always happy to receive suggestions that you might have for future events and projects. Just as it's an exciting time for the Schubert Institute, so too is this true of the ever-expanding area of Schubert scholarship. While it was once fashionable to uphold the sentimentalized view of Schubert as a clairvoyant, spinning out endless melodies as if in a liminal state of consciousness, or the image of him as, to borrow Robert Schumann's words, the feminine counterpoint to Beethoven, what has emerged in recent decades is a more nuanced and multi-layered portrait of the composer's music and artistic vision. To mention a few examples, we might recall the late Maynard Solomon's influential, indeed provocative article from 1989, in which he suggested that Schubert might have been gay. In relation to this, we might think also of Susan McClary's study of the ways in which Schubert's music, particularly his unfinished symphony, can be seen to construct versions of masculinity that deviate from the heroic, goal-directed trajectories of Beethoven's music. Or we might turn to Charles Fisk's work on Schubert and the figure of the romantic wanderer, a connection that has both musical and biographical associations. That Schubert was deeply invested in the psychological subtleties of the human condition is a theme that has emerged with penetrating clarity in scholarship on his Lieder. Here, I'm referring to the magisterial work of Susan Ewens, Lorraine Byrne-Bodley, Lawrence Kramer, and Graham Johnson, among other colleagues. The view of Schubert as an intellectual has been bolstered further by numerous studies, too numerous to list here, of his instrumental music, an arena in which, to quote Susan Wallenberg, he emerges as an instrumental poet. Not only was Schubert preoccupied with existential matters, he was also a pragmatic composer and musician, an image that shines through in John Gingrich's study of the ways in which he sought to establish a public profile that was, quote, synonymous with Beethoven's name and fame, end quote. And just a few days ago, Professor Andrea Lindmeier-Brandl, in an online lecture at Maynooth University, shared a fresh exegesis of Schubert's awareness of and strategic approach towards his success, both personally and professionally. In short, the contemporary Schubert, as Lorraine Byrne-Bodley and Julian Horton observed in their introduction to Rethinking Schubert, is, quote, vibrant, plural, transnational, and complex, end quote. It is in this spirit that I am delighted to introduce today's speakers, each of whom offers new ways of thinking about the expressive worlds of Schubert's music and their wider cultural context. This morning, we'll hear 3 papers that explore issues ranging from the intersections between performance and composition, through an investigation of his piano duets, to a reflection on the healing power of his music, particularly the Great C Major Symphony. This afternoon, we'll hear a paper on Schubert's engagement with Orientalism, before a final presentation on his sacred music. What is striking about each of these presentations is the way in which they open up imaginative ways of reassessing Schubert's creativity, encouraging us to look again or to listen again to music that constantly invites new modes of critical and emotional engagement.